In the pursuit of some clan versus clan points, I actually opened up about 10 mortal soul stones. Nothing too crazy. However, out of those mortal soul stones, I was able to acquire myself the second fully awakened epic champion that I have here, or actually third, sorry. So we have Phoenix, we have Oboro, and or Oboro, and then we also have, of course, the other epic that I did a review on here already, so Lodric. Oboro is fantastic. Now, what does she have going on for a kit? Well, on her A1, she has attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a decrease defense debuff for 2 turns, and will attack all enemies instead if the target is under 4 or more debuffs. So this is a pretty crazy skill. She has a decent multiplier on it. I will throw the multipliers up on screen here probably right now for you to check those out. A2 attacks one enemy 2 times. Second hit has a 75% chance of transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target. The first hit has a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from the target when attacking under a Veil or Perfect Veil. So essentially, first hit has a chance of stealing all buffs. Second hit sends all of her debuffs over to the target, so stripping off any sort of block debuffs or anything like that from the target before giving them all that nasty stuff back. And then the A3 is going to place an increased crit rate and an increased crit damage on her for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy, placing a perfect veil on herself for 2 turns if the attack is critical, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown. And then her passive places a revive on death buff on this champion for 3 turns whenever she receives a veil or perfect veil. So hypothetically, she gets a revive on death for 3 turns here. Or, of course, if you have a champion like even a Rector Droth who's placing a Perfect Veil or a Veil, it's going to help her out a lot. You can see I got 4 different sets going on here. I also put her into Crushing Rend, of course. This means that she's going to be ignoring 1% defense for every 10 levels, and then she does get some stat bonuses. What do I have for stats? I built her with 202 speed, nothing too crazy, 5100 attack, which is a decent build for an epic, I would say, at least 111% crit rate and 279% crit damage. And then, of course, I did build her with a little bit of resistance at 306 as well. An okay amount of accuracy on there, nothing too crazy by any means. And then as for the 4 sets, what we actually got going on here is we got a 2-piece of Slayer. So I have the ring and the amulet are both Slayer. I think this is amulet, right? I forgot. No, sorry, banner. I don't know why I just had a brain fart there, but and then, of course, the amulet is going to be a crit damage ascended merciless piece there. So ideally, I want to probably get her with 4 merciless pieces so that she can take advantage of this bonus here, which is filling her turn meter by 5% per each enemy hit by AoE attacks. This champion is fantastic somewhere in like Hydra. In terms of the gear rolls, this is what we got: crit damage, crit rate, a little bit of HP here. Not even fully upgraded on the attack here, actually, so I am just going to go ahead and roll this up to 16. I might not have. Oh, I just made it. So now we have a little bit more attack coming in there, so let's take a look and see. Yeah, we're up to 5400 now instead of, what, 5100, something like that. We got speed, crit rate, crit damage, nothing too crazy. We have a very good piece here, actually, for the mythical weapon. So we got basically a double roll in speed and then a triple roll into attack with some crit rate on there as well. Crit rate, speed, sorry, crit damage, speed, attack, all that sort of good stuff. And then over here we got, you know, some more of the same. So, where do we use this champion? Well, I used her to great effect in my Hydra team. So if we come over here, specifically to this team right here, this is the damage she managed to pull off. One epic champion as a damage dealer in, what is this, hard mode Hydra, managed to pull off 102 million damage. 102 million, which is just absolutely crazy. That being said, our most recent fusion, Ystrid, she is definitely smacking a little bit too. She has some good multipliers. I paired Oboro with Lady Mikage. Why is that so important? Well, if we come over here and look at Lady Mikage, what do we got going on? She has an ally attack with an increased attack and an increased crit damage. And then on her A1, she attacks one enemy with one random ally from the Shadowkin faction. The ally joining will use their default skill, which of course is going to be the A1 on Oboro. So if we come back over here to Hydra, essentially what we have going on is Lady Mikage, she is going to be pulling in Oboro every single time because nobody else here is from the Shadowkin faction. We have to have the requirement, of course, of 4 debuffs. So we have a block debuffs, decrease attack, and decreased accuracy from Uko. We have a weaken and a decreased speed coming in here. We have a decreased defense as well as HP burns coming in from Venus. And then, of course, Inquisitor Shamel is here to handle any sort of, pesky Hydra heads that might try to place fear or true fear on us, because I don't have a champion really that's going to bring a veil. That being said, though, Oboro can actually do that herself as well, where she can place the veil on herself. Essentially, I don't think I can get anywhere to actually show you like the presets or anything like that, but what I did is I turned off the Metamorph skill for Lady Mikage. I turned off her A2, so she's only doing her ally attack and her A1. Oboro has all skills turned off except the A1, of course, so her A2 and her A3 are disabled. Default on Shamael, default here, and then priority 1 on the A3, and then priority 2 on the A2 for Eostrid. And then Uko, of course, has his priority on the A2. I would recommend manualing this team because you do have to make sure that you're targeting heads that have at least 4 debuffs, but as long as you can meet that parameter, you can go ahead and basically just do AoEs each time, and it's absolutely crazy. When I was fighting on normal, she had basically all the heads down like pretty much continuously. When I was fighting on hard, there was a good chance that she'd have the heads down pretty much continuously as well. And again, an epic that can do 102 million damage on hard Hydra on their own, really regardless of which rotation you're in, right? Because this team here would be pretty good at countering almost any rotation, because you got the block buffs. You really only have to worry about the provokes, of course, for the cleanse head, but realistically at this level, if you can build her with similar stats, the heads aren't going to be alive long enough to cleanse anyways. Let's go ahead and look at the gearing for the rest of the champs if you're curious about that. So this is going to be my Lady Mikage. 345 speed, 436 on the accuracy, nothing too wild there. We're going to go down here. You don't have to use Venus either. You could very easily use somebody like a Lydia, but you will lose a little bit of damage because of the lack of HP burns, of course. Lydia might be better, though, too, because she's bringing the strengthen for your own team. We're going down, we're finding Venus. This is Venus stats. 249 and 436, nothing too wild. What else did we have for champions? Well, we had Oboro. I forgot to show you her masteries. Here they are. I do think you would benefit a little bit more from going to Deterrence as opposed to having the cycle of Revenge. She was actually built out to be a solo champion for Sand Devil at 1.2. There's some videos on YouTube discussing that if that's something you're interested in. I forget what other champions we actually had in that comp. Let's see here. We also had... Come on, where are they? Okay, so we had Lady Mikage, we had Oboro, we had Venus, we had Uko. Where's Uko? Uko is built currently in a stun set because I have to rebuild him. 255 speed, 335 on the accuracy. Definitely enough for what I need. Besides Uko, we also had Inquisitor. My Inquisitors are kind of interchangeable. I don't necessarily have them built out for damage. When the head of... I want to say maybe it's Torment is up and placing the True Fears on you. I don't remember their names, I just remember them to look at them, but when that specific head placing the True Fears is up, essentially I like to have my Shamael basically like just giving turn meter boost to whoever's in the lead, so that's why I had Lady Mikage in the lead there, of course, even though there was probably better auras to be used, but it's going to help her cycle through turns so quickly as well. That's why they synergize so well. Here he is, so these are how they are built. We got some pretty trash stats here, just slow, no crit rate, no crit damage. Basically just enough to help them survive, and that's really about it. I'm basically just using them to farm the free turn meter increase coming out from that head, of course. Where else can you use her? Well, we could definitely use her in the city of Centranos, of course. You could potentially get some niche use out of her in the arena because she does hit fairly hard on some of her skills. If you use her in Faction Wars, of course, she'd be absolutely fantastic there. Unfortunately, I don't have Faction Wars open here quite yet. They are opening in about 3 hours, though. You could also use her in Doom Tower if you're trying to nuke some stuff down there. Due to her also placing a Revive on Death buff on herself, she might be able to be done somewhere in like a Scarab King run. I might have to make a video on that at some point. You know what, I'll take her into Arena here real quick, too. And you just get sort of a general idea of her damage and whatnot. We'll run her on a team like this instead of the Wukong there, so let's go ahead and throw her in. This team we should hopefully be faster than, otherwise this is going to be kind of embarrassing. My Arbiter's sitting at like 367 on the speed or something crazy like that, and I've noticed I'm actually getting outsped by some other speed teams these days, which is quite irritating to say the least. She's going to be a little bit weak here, actually, I think, because of the UDK, although The UDK now does not have any skills, so let's go ahead and take a look at her A3 here. We'll slow it down a little bit. She's placing the increased crit rate. You notice I didn't build her out with the 70% crit rate that you only need. She just did the 130k onto that UDK on her A3. UDK, of course, is definitely not a weak champion by any means, and considering that this guy also has Taurus, I imagine these champions are built relatively well. They have about 330k team power for the team overall, so generally that would indicate that they have a pretty decent build going on there. Granted, she also has increased attack, which means that she's going to be rocking at about around 7,000 or more attack, right? So that definitely helps her out a little bit as well. Let's go ahead and smack somebody with the A2 here, so attacking one enemy 2 times. I'm kind of curious if we could actually smack down the UDK as well as the Arbiter in one turn. We do smack down the Arbiter with the second hit, so she actually does pretty good there as well. Let's see if we can just get a turn meter boost coming in here. What I want to do is try to get enough debuffs onto the enemies there so that I can just do the AoE with her as well. AoE on the A1, that is. We'll go ahead and make sure he's locked out. He might... No, he does not get a turn quite. Let's see, does my Oboro go next? She does not. Ooh, she gets tapped down, which is not good. Alright. There we go. We're going to go ahead, we're going to do this. We're going to make sure that we have our skills off cooldown so that RB can revive. And hopefully we'll get enough turn meter from that to get out in front of the Taurus again here. She doesn't even have them off cooldown. I'm going to have to back out. That wasn't the best. Let's go ahead and instead of... Well, we'll fight the same team maybe. I just need to bring more debuffs, I think. So, right here. Unless there's even like a slower team that we could go against, that would be pretty fun. This might be a bit of a slower team. I very much doubt it, though. This probably not. I do think this will be a slow team, though, so let's see how this goes. The Mithrala could mess us up if we're not able to lock her out, so fingers crossed on that. My Crixia doesn't have a whole lot of like accuracy or anything crazy like that. Yeah, the Mithrala didn't get locked out. Let's go ahead and hit the A1 here, though, onto the Duchess. Even on the A1, she just pops off for 96 or 97k on the A1, dude. That is insane for an epic champion. This is insane. Granted, she's also ignoring about 6% extra of their defense because of her awakening, right? So because of the... That's not Helm's Mesher. I cannot remember the name of it at the moment. But this is absolutely insane. She is dead now, though. But you get the idea, right? So you can see how much damage she's doing there. She's doing a ton of damage in Hydra as well. So she did over 100k that battle, which is just wild. Let's go ahead and refresh and see if we can get an even tankier team here. I've noticed tanky teams are kind of starting to fall out of the meta, honestly, which is a little disappointing. A team like this, we should be able to do. It'd be kind of interesting to see how the Marichka can handle this. Even without an increased attack as well, she'd still be doing very decent damage, right? So let's do that. Let's go ahead and hit that Marichka. Boom, 119k. Sit down. Sit down. We're going to go ahead and turn meter boost up a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and do this. And then it is this skill, I believe, that's placing the block debuffs, right? Yes. That way we don't have to worry about getting frozen or getting any of the annoying stuff on us there. Let's go ahead and do this as well. Because what will have happen next is essentially she'll be able to do an AoE off the A1, so you can see her do some damage. Oh, never mind, she's dead. Let's go ahead and decrease the cooldown there. This is annoying as hell, man. Let's go ahead and do this again. Of course, Mithrala cleanses, though. It is very hard to try and showcase her off with 4 or more buffs, of course. Let's go ahead and try that one more time here. It is kind of annoying to go against the cleanser, though, but who could we bring to do more debuffs? I wonder. Well, we don't really need Arbiter because we have enough speed coming in here. Somebody with a lot of debuffs. So we already got decreased defense and weaken. If we bring in somebody who's doing maybe like a decreased defense and weaken, we need somebody that does at least 2 debuffs. So we have... Oh, that's a tough choice. Do I have anybody who does an AoE debuff of at least 2 debuffs? Uko could do it, right? So he's placing the decrease accuracy as well as the block buffs, so let's go ahead and see if that works, I suppose. Poison coming in there. This might be a bit annoying, though, because she might be able to go first, just considering we don't have the turn meter boost. No, she does not. Alright, so let's go ahead and slow this down. Let's go ahead and put it on 1x speed and hit into the Helicath here. They all have 4 debuffs, so of course the target has, she's going to AoE. And she just taps basically everybody on her A1, which is absolutely crazy because the multiplier of her A1 is only like half of the multiplier it is if she's doing single target work. So not only can she do damage, of course, when she's doing the AoEs, but she can also do a hell of a lot of damage when she's doing single target A1s as well, as you've seen. I don't think I need to say anything more about this champion. She is pretty much a must build if you have her. She's fantastic for Hydra, if you have any sort of ally attack champions, or God forbid you have a Lady Mikage. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more raid content like this and just seeing some wacky strategies or champion reviews that you might not see on some other channels. That's kind of what I'm all about here. I'll see you guys in the next video.